The Miradouro São Pedro de Alcântara is right here near the Bairro Alto district in Lisbon, and has been here since the 1860s. And it is named after Saint Peter of Alcântara, who was a Spanish friar in the 16th century, but he was also a mystic and a reformer. He is the patron saint of nocturnal adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, and in 1826 he became the patron saint of Brazil, which of course has a very close and special relationship with Portugal. I find it interesting that it's right here, his overlook is right here next to the Bairro Alto district, which is the nighttime district here in Lisbon, which comes alive usually after midnight. And Pedro was known for sleeping very little. In fact, he did most of his work while his fellow friars were asleep in the monastery. This tile, or azulejos of Portuguese tile, is actually a map of what you can see across the valley here behind me. It's been here since 1952, and viewers can come up, actually find the place that they're looking at, and then find it on the map and figure out what they're looking at. One of the interesting things about this overlook, or this Miradouro, is that it has two tiers. You can see that there's a level below me, which is a garden, and then up here, which is kind of a social space, there's even a little cafe up here as well. It was intentionally designed to be that way back in the 1700s, and the interesting reason for that is this was going to be an anchor point for an aqueduct that would have stretched all the way from this side in the Bairro Alto neighborhood all the way over to the Graça district, which is behind me where that church is in the distance, kind of near that crane, if you can see that far. After the earthquake of 1755 basically destroyed the city of Lisbon, resources were needed elsewhere, and eventually these two terraces were turned into the São Pedro de Alcântara Miradouro, where I'm standing right now. Right in the middle of this Miradouro is this beautiful fountain, which is kind of trickling today, but usually runs at full force. The interesting thing about this is this was not originally part of the design here for this Miradouro. It was part of the Palacio de Bomposta, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, which eventually turned into a military academy. And when that happened in the mid-19th century, they needed room for a parking space, or parking spaces, and had to relocate this fountain. Another really cool detail in this Miradouro is the sculpture behind me, because it ties directly to the publishing industry that was huge right here in the Bairro Alto neighborhood. And the bust on top recognizes the founder of the newspaper Diário de Notícias, which is basically the diary of the news, and it was unveiled here in 1904, and he founded that newspaper in 1863. Another really cool detail is this statue in front of the pillar, which depicts a familiar view for a lot of us of the newspaper boy who would sell the newspaper on the streets. Well, Coelho, allegedly, is one of the first, if not the first, person to come up with the idea of selling newspapers at a fixed price directly to the consumer on the street by using the familiar newspaper boys that you see here. Not only can you see the St. George Castle, or the São George Castle behind me, you can also see the Immaculate Cathedral, as well as the River Tejo down there as well. It is probably the most panoramic view that you're going to get here in Lisbon, but there are a ton of other Miradouros as well. And from some of those Miradouros, you can actually look over and see where we're standing here. But a lot of visitors will come up here using the Gloria funicular, which runs up the hill right up next to us, which is one of the many ways that people navigate the 7 amazing hills here in Lisbon.